Quinn, you met my dad. Do you think you could beat him up if you were both dragons?
Great question. Great question.
Thank you. I worked really hard on it.
I think no disrespect to your dad. I
Get
think
his ass.
Well, no, there is no disrespect, and certainly some respect coming towards your dad. I do think I could win in a fight if, by the nature that time is a factor that has really kind of decided a lot of fights throughout history. I do believe the factor your dad's probably nearing 70 years old should give me presumably some advantage. However, your dad seems to have lived through a lot scrappier of a life than I did. And I do believe would know some moves that would absolutely wreck my shit. However, I do believe eventually, his knee would just pop out or something.
He led a scrappy life on Scrapple, which is a Pennsylvania delicacy. He's also from that area, weirdly enough. And he used to know moves. I don't know if he remembers the moves. So this is an episode about fighting your dad, hopefully coming out after the episode where the siblings teamed up and fought Orlando, their dad dragon, and I've been waiting for him to be able to show off some of his moves on screen the whole time and finally got an excuse. I did not know going into that episode that's where it would go. So it was a big surprise to me.
I just had to feel like I was like, let me drop this news before it gets worse, and it really escalated into dad's going to fight me.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. Something I'm trying to keep in mind this season is that dragons are not humans.
Yeah,
they have their own, social codes and instincts and stuff. So it would be weird to fist fight your dad at a fashion gala at a museum or whatever in a human context.
Is it? I feel like, especially in Florida, fist fighting your dad at like a birthday party is like a relatively common thing.
It's not as frowned on here as it is in the coastal elite cities that you may be familiar with, Quinn. But it's still not tradition, I would say. It's not an every event.
It's not a rite of passage.
Yeah. But no, I was looking forward to it. What did you think about the acid that makes you stop doing magic? The acid that hurts so bad you forget magic.
Yeah, that was great. I believe this is 2 times now that DiCaprio has just been hit, like a dragon's just float up and spit acid in my face, and I had to look at my level 20 wizard character sheet and be like, Austin, I do believe I'm dead. I do believe I'm at 2 health, actually, right now from that one attack.
I feel bad about the boyfriend blast. Those rolls were really good. Like that, they were unusually good, and you did get boyfriend blasted, but it all worked out. That's what I say on this show all the time. Is that sometimes it seems like I'm being harsh, but it all works out, right? It's never not all worked out.
Yeah, it always works for Austin. That's the important thing.
So we're here at Crew Gunk to discuss our show discuss our show Dice Funk between recording Spew Punk.
Wouldn't it be wild if we had a Spew Punk after show like Talking Dead? It was it's just called Crew Gunk, where we're just like, how'd you feel about that Fire Emblem discussion? Did you think it was forced? Like, do you think it was?
Yeah. What did you think about? Well, the Vice Admiral doll tangent. Too explicit? Should I go back and edit some of that stuff out? I mean, that's not too far off of what I'm trying to do here. It is talking about our talking, but supported by the beautiful fans who make this all possible. We love you very much. I'm not just saying that to flatter you. You're all very important to my life, and I want to acknowledge that. I just pulled up Patreon earlier, and they've changed fucking everything again. This company is my mortal enemy. They have earned my blade forever. So if I fuck this up, it's not on me, it's on them. They changed how everything looks. I'm going to read some names. Sponsored by Bad News Panda, Chickalawar Kariadna. I'm sorry, your name has so many consonants in it. Zagul, Ghost Almost, Sire of Damnation, bring back the Epcot finger bang discourse. Fuck! I can't believe I did this to myself. Mr. Pear, Julius funneling money to Florida. The space fighters say to execute the bonus season experiment and address day. That's the first group there. Sorry about all the bad pronunciations. Quinn, do you have anything that you want to add to biting one's dad?
I really, it's tough. I didn't get the energy to really bite my dad. I tried to, and he covered me with an acid that stopped me from casting spells. And it was a rough time. I was able to get through that by using my resilience ability, but it kind of put me on a defense, so I didn't really get to do anything cool against Dad. Like I didn't cast any like cool big spells on him or anything like that. I kind of had to keep 2 blue mana open to stop him if he did anything really crazy. So I wish I could have really bitten my dad. Like every so often, I want to have my character go just like Hog-Out Ballistic and have her start ripping people's like throats out.
Hog-Out Ballistic is an incredible description.
But like she doesn't have an attack score, so it's one of those things where I'm like, well, flavor wise, this is very funny. Stat wise, I'm just going to miss. There is not even a chance for success beyond the 5% crit, maybe. But every so often, I do get the urge to be like Rex, who just can tear apart Dad with like 700 damage in a single round or whatever.
You did crit with the first fight after picking up that ladder, and you started going Jackie Chan mode on some people. So maybe that's an omen of future kung fu mastery. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, maybe this is an opportunity to just straight up lift a couple Shen Wus or whatever from Shaolin Showdown.
You can have any horde you want. Yeah, next arc, you're actually a monk now. We're changing a lot of things up for DiCaprio.
Oh, I would be kind of down for that. I could play another good monk right now.
The life-changing party. Yeah.
I keep saying that like 5e is like getting kind of exhausting to me, but I'm like, not if I keep playing a monk, it's not. There's a lot of meat still left on that bone.
Is that the most fun for you? I mean,
yeah,
you did a lot of punching.
It's just an energy I like. It really gives my character an excuse to just like, clock somebody's throat with my, a chop real quick if I don't like what they're saying.
It's nice to have that option. I think people should make characters who are excited about violence in some capacity. They don't all have to be like murder perverts, but it's a game about fighting. So it's actually, I think, it's less full of friction. A lot of people make characters who are like, oh, why don't we just talk about our feelings? It's like, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe we could talk about our feelings when we play Lasers and Feelings. That's a different game about feelings. But here on Crew Gunk, we talk about the show we make. We started the season with episodes about all your characters, and then we're at the end of the season going to circle back to talk about how they've grown. I don't know if we're ready to do that for DiCaprio yet. And we are in the middle of this party arc, which is going to be a big turning point for the whole story. So there are essentially infinite topics to talk about. But what I wanted to get was your temperature on all the NPCs. So when the season started, I made like a little political compass grid with the 2 axes being thoughts on small folks, thoughts on Gladys Accords. And people are making big moves. We're putting each other in bottles. We're inventing metal from hit film Megalopolis. We're doing a lot of stuff. So I'm curious where you are on all the NPCs, and where do you think they fall on this spectrum? Where do you think they can be pushed? Things of that nature.
It's interesting because there are some of them that have been very explicit. Like you have explicitly been like Desdemona is pro small folk, anti Gladys Accords, and some we know at least one half of it where it's like, okay, Rosalind is anti small folk, for example. That's just someone who is stressed very clearly. She treats them like shit. She doesn't want to treat them any better. There are some where we can make it some assumptions, and then there are some where I just kind of have to make guess. And I think the 2 that always interest me the most are my 2 X's. Because I know that's a space I need to play in at some point. Is one of these 2 has to be kind of happy with some things that will eventually happen, and one of them has to be really mad about it. And I don't really know which one's going to be which.
It's really juicy drama. I mean, the setup from the beginning was that you had these 2 X's and that they were coming from opposite like social standings, essentially. It was a little bit of like, Prince and the Paupers sort of action going on there. And you were going to have to choose which one to embrace. And I was expecting for one to be back in your life and one to be your sworn enemy. And it just didn't turn out like that. I think we played this campaign a dozen times, and we would never get this exact result, which is that your two siblings took each of them
Oh yeah,
completely
it's
outside the realm of under belief.
it's one of the moments I'm most excited to explore. Again, I don't want to spoil anything for our listeners. I don't know how many episodes are out when this is coming out at this point, so I'm kind of trying to be careful about some of the things I say because despite fighting and beating up our dad, still yet more crazy things are going to happen in this arc. But I'm very excited for the moment of like reckoning where DiCaprio is really going to have to sort of sit in the fact that both of her exes have like extremely prominent relationships with her siblings now. Like I just like in my mind I'm imagining the Thanksgiving she has to go to where like half the room is just people she has been intimate with who she is no longer related, like who have like kind of bad vibes with her now.
I'm saying that you kind of think of this season as having like sagas, and each saga has like arcs in it. So there's kind of like the pre-Ulysses saga, the Ulysses saga, and the post-Ulysses saga. Not that actually he's post, like he's gone, but like after the focus he's getting that leading to this point. And the post-Ulysses saga is going to be like the third act about all the consequences and stuff that we've set up so far. And it's the various tangled soap opera like relationship webs are going to come into a much clearer focus, and we're going to have to deal with some of those things with Falconbridge and Viola, your two exes. Where do you think they fall? I don't know if you have in your mind the if you're turning the political compass like an apple, where do you think they are on the two main issues of the day?
I will say that Viola has mindless servants, like they are animated small folk. So I would assume she is anti small folk to a degree. Maybe not anti, but I mean, she's certainly not going to be like, what, I have to give these things rights? Like, I don't have time for that. They're things. What are you talking about? And then I would assume then conversely, there is like a pro small folk then from Falconbridge. That's where my mind would first go to, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
You haven't actually seen her interact with her small folk on screen, I don't think.
I was gonna say I don't have anything to support that. That's just where my impression would go.
The audience has seen her small folk once because they interacted with the Cymbalines, and I believe you were told a little bit like out of character about them. But Falconbridge on I basically there's if you imagine like a 3x3 grid, Falconbridge is in the quadrant for anti small folk, anti Gladys Accords. So she the like one of the features.
So I probably really made a lot of people mad then.
I mean, one of the characteristics of her relationship with her small folks is that they are succubi and incubi. They're like, fiends who are like trying to prey on people's impulses and stuff. And she makes them all wear heavy winter coats to obscure them because she thinks it's funny. She's like she lives in an ice fortress on the tallest mountain, populated entirely by like hellish fire lava demon people. Because she thinks it's funny to do that. Oh, we saw them when Hop went on a date there. I think is when we saw this stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So. In that case, I have two exes who are definitely anti-small folk, which doesn't bode well in a future where one of my siblings is very pro-small folk. And I don't know if I have enough knowledge yet to say if Viola is anti or pro-Gladys Accords. I'm trying to remember if we haven't gone to her horde.
Correct. Yeah, that's so I will say quickly that the order of the arcs, while it has been determined by me in a sense, like I'm just saying like, okay, here's the next arc we're doing. It is responsive to the choices you all make. So like there's been a couple times where someone said something and I was like, okay, that means the next arc is X or Y. For example, you were talking about getting Ulysses a horde and small folk and so forth. And I was like, okay, that means the next arc is the Ulysses arc. So we could have seen Viola's layer by now, but we have not yet. So we're missing some insight. I have Viola in the quadrant for neutral on small folk. She, I think, as she said to Rex very recently, she finds all that stuff very annoying. She's glad her small folk can't talk to her because she doesn't want to listen to it. But she's not actively hateful. She just is uninterested. But she is, I have her down as anti-Gladys Accords, which also came up in that recent Rex conversation at Ulysses' party, where she said, just throw everything off the edge of the world. Get rid of all of it. This sucks. Yeah. It's annoying. That also falls under Gladys Accords stuff in a way. But so this is kind of open to interpretation because the authority to throw things off the edge of the world also is under the Gladys Accords. So I think you could also say that makes her pro. I just meant it in the sense that she doesn't want to think about it. She doesn't care about like all the bickering.
Yeah. I think that there are going to be some very awkward conversations with a lot of people happening in the immediate future to some degree, which is crazy when we consider that the time skips are just going to get longer and longer from here. So suddenly you start considering the idea of these dragons and what it really means to sit on like a 20-year feud or whatever, like what happens if I'm just big mad at somebody for 2 decades, and I just sit on that kind of grudge? Because what is time to me, a dragon who will live, billions or whatever, millions of years?
Billions is a lot. I don't know exactly if we've settled on their exact lifespan according to whatever canon, but it's. I'm kind of terrified. I want to talk to you more about that in a second. I want to say more sponsors for this episode are Copperhead, professional GM on StartPlaying.games. What's the funniest thing I can make Austin say? Name every team for the NFC North that didn't make the playoffs last season. That's just mean. You're hurting my feelings. Eric,
wait, what team was it?
What? Name every team from the NFC North that didn't make the playoffs last season. The Chicago Bears, right? The Vikings, Packers, and Lions all made it, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Nicole is turning gender change into gender cash. Man, my other patronees are going to be really confused. Tara is giving money to say hi to all the pets. Egon, Philip Mitchell, Efrona, a.k.a. Ionusk, a.k.a. the Thieving Squirrel, a.k.a. They're hurting me, Quinn. Please help. Michael Wade, spirit of characters inspired by Dice Funk, such as Amanda Starr, Melbeck.
Is it not Michael Wayne?
It almost certainly is. I think they literally just left a comment saying you said it right and I said it wrong. It's just I'm reading them in the moment, I'm locked in, as the kids say.
All right, well, you're locked in wrong is what I'm saying.
I'm going Hog-Out Ballistic.
You gotta buckle up first before you lock in, Austin.
Yeah. So I want to talk about more characters, but quickly, we are about to record a downtime, I will say. That's where we are in the recording thing. Are you as terrified of the time skips as I am, or are you it's whatever?
Well, because that is where you have to really think about things, because you're, before it was like, hey, what are you doing in a year or so? And it's like, okay, my character is visiting this person. I'm nebulously doing this thing for Andronicus. I'm, doing that. But then when you start considering like multiple years, you have to be like, okay, well, like stuff has to be like happening then. Like if I said like, oh, I'm telling all my people to build a house. Well, like after a year, that house is done. They got to be doing something else, theoretically. So it becomes this idea as that time gap starts getting larger and larger. And the conversations we've had really with other characters have ended since then. You now have to be like, oh, my character kind of had this thought and then hasn't, necessarily talked to everybody in 40 years. So like, who knows what's been done or said in that interim time. So there's this very uneasy feeling that I'm going to like walk into somebody and they're going to be like, hey, you remember when you nuked my house? And I'm going to be like, oh, I don't. That was so long ago. What am I supposed to do?
A part of the thing that makes it interesting to me is that we can like smooth over the more emotionally volatile moments, like in the last arc, you putting Rex in a lamp, which I feel like would have made the next couple of years completely unbearable to listen to if we had gone through them. But it is also, it's like a big responsibility to try to be like, cover all the bases. I know that there's never enough time in seasons. You're always like, yeah, well, I want to talk to Andronicus, and I want to talk to my mom, and I want to talk to this character and that character, and it's like, okay, well, that's going to take 4.5 hours, Quinn.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
There is a part of me that's always going to be greedy and be like, Austin, can't we just have like a couple canon hours where you and I just do a podcast and I get to talk to all these little NPCs?
I mean, we've done shit like that before. There's definitely been where it's like, hey, we need to do a prequel episode or something where we have 10 conversations or none of this is going to make sense. It's very difficult not to whine about my cool job or whatever. But yeah, I'm nervous about this stuff. All I can say is I trust all of you, and I think you have done a great job so far. And it's like, especially with the downtimes, it's almost like vibes based, where you're like, okay, I am trying to make these moves. I am trying to advance these plot lines and ideas, and then we'll paint in, the drawing later as it becomes relevant. So I'm excited about that. But to go back to the characters, because I kind of want to take your temperature on these things to like, did I do a good job of characterizing them? Do you understand what they're about? And like why they're gonna fight you or why
Yeah.
they're gonna stand by your side later. So in my 9 square quadrant here, we've talked about the 3 anti-Gladys Accord characters. Desdemona thinks she should be in charge. Viola doesn't want to hear this fucking bullshit, and Falconbridge thinks that she should be able to have what she wants. No one should be able to dictate her horde. What about the 3 pro Gladys Accords? Do you think you could say off the top of your head who those people are?
I believe, and hold on a second.
No, you should have believed in yourself. You were right.
I think Andronicus is one.
Yes, correct.
I believe our dad's one, right? I mean, he's
Correct too. Yeah, 2 for 2. You're doing it.
Okay, and I'm trying to remember if Barbas wasn't he?
I have Enobarbus down as neutral.
I was
think
gonna say
after
I felt maybe he was more neutral, but I don't think he definitely wasn't like, hey, what the like, get out of my house, like he just kind of accepted whatever was happening.
I'm glad that came across. Yeah, at the end of the fight, when he was like the first proper arc, you're like, hey, we're here to enforce the Gladys Accords. And he's like, shrug, I guess. Yeah, I agreed to that if you have to. Like, he wasn't like, hell yeah, I love this.
Sycorax.
So Sycorax I also have as neutral because
okay.
she is it's interesting. Sycorax is a very mercurial, volatile character that I think I want to talk about. But I think earlier you did mention about Rosaline being anti-small folk. She is the character with the most strongly polarized opinions. Anti-small folk, pro Gladys Accords, because her position is entirely dependent on her partner. She is important because he is important. It's not like a necessarily patriarchal society. It is instead, this geriatric gerontocracy, but it still conveys some of the same issues there, where she derives her power from the Gladys Accords because that is the source of Orlando's power, and she absolutely is pro Gladys Accords, even though she mostly talks about small folk. That is the juicier thing, is that she thinks they're bugs.
Yeah. It is very interesting to consider those characters in regards, because one of those is potentially a very strong ally, and then the other one, again, I don't know when this episode's coming out, but like there are definitely going to be complicated feelings about that in the future. So it's interesting to see where in the axes we connect at this point, which I guess we fall in the pro small folk neutral Gladys Accords, because we never really taken a particularly strong stance either way. But I imagine we might have to start doing that in the future.
There was a recent conversation, the one between Viola and Rex. I think it's becoming a load-bearing conversation because of how much I reference it. But Viola said, just take all the stuff, throw it off the edge. It's not our problem anymore. Fuck that. And Rex responded that he wants to take everything using the power of the Gladys Accords and put all the items in a room until you get the loom back and then copy everything. It's the kind of opposite maximalist position, which is as pro Gladys Accords as one could be expected, even though none of you have stated like, oh, I love it. I think this is a great legal regime. But it's like a tool to accomplish your other goals. So yeah, I think it's an imperfect like situation, but there isn't a perfect one. These are all,
Yeah, yeah.
huge lizards that can bend space and time. I don't know that you can. I'm not expecting this season to end with us being like, I have drafted the perfect law to ensure peace forever. I don't think that's where we're going.
I think it'd also be very boring after a while when we start having to like hash out like, all right, well, how is our legal, like our judicial system going to be going forward in this system?
Yeah.
I think there's a very interesting space though, as somebody working on a future season of Dice Funk, and I actively participate in conversations where I'm like, wait, does this just fuck everything I've written up? Like, wait a minute, what's gonna happen? I do you ever have concerns about like what the long-term ramifications of anything you say on the show is going to be? Like as you're planning something, or you just like, I didn't think conduits would be that big of a deal. Uh-oh.
I mean, yes and no, which I know is an unsatisfying answer, but I try to remain open to improv at all times. That's like half the job of being a DM in the style I do it, is that when someone says, what if there's a wine that makes you gay? I'm like, yep, sure, that's exists now. So this was a huge concern in the resurrection season, right? Where I was like, whatever we decide is how this works going forward. It might completely change the stakes of every fight from here on out if death is just a temporary setback, and then we'll just have to live with it. So yeah, there's some, you could all do things during this season which could be extremely disruptive for future seasons, but also that gives a vitality and a immediacy to things that I don't think every actual play has. I don't It's like uncouth to talk shit, but other shows don't have stakes like we have stakes because they won't do that shit. They don't have the fucking cojones to let you get in the guts and really do some fucked up shit about dragons, So I think that's a cool selling point. It is stressful, it's nerve wracking, but that's why our show is good, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. You always get like there's different kinds of D&D groups that exist. And there's some that enjoy the stories in different ways, and I feel like this is a group that definitely enjoys as role players taking on those kind of hard decisions. Not that they're always the most comfortable, but it does allow us the space to be, I think, kind of the craziest we can be and the most interesting, because you will roll with some pretty absurd things depending on how the numbers go.
I try to be maximally flexible, and I think it makes the show feel like every episode is important. Like you can't just like half pay attention or you'll be lost. I think because it's like stuff is happening. They're not just fighting level 2 goblins or whatever. So that I guess I make the show I want to listen to is what it boils down to. Even if it's much more work, because I don't like. At some point, someone may develop the Megalon beam that kills every dragon instantly, and then that's something we all have to live with. So it's very possible. And the show's, of course, supported by people like Lumentis, 666, Neopet 666, Kyle Hill, The Peroni, Emil Argard Bovbjerg, Steffi K. I up my donation so Austin can have a family and you should too. Dustin Darkwater, Simon Lee, Conduit of Chungus, Bearer of Dinkus, Minion of John Con, Wishbone is gay, and a gambling pig has no regrets except most of his 20s. You said most of the neutral characters here. Enobarbus, neutral on the Gladys Accords, pro small folk, obviously, and Sycorax, neutral on the Gladys Accords, negative on small folk. I think a very interesting character to talk about. And then of course there's just this the free space of neutral on everything, at least to start with, was Ulysses. That was a blank slate that I handed you all, and I was like, hey, hey, work together to fuck this up. just really make a mess out of this guy's psychology.
Yeah, there was really very little chance of Ulysses coming out perfectly fine. We just don't live that kind of lifestyle to be parents. Some would say it was a bad idea to give the FBI agents the baby first, but we all had to take a turn. We had to do FBI things. It's fine.
I was wondering how much influence other dragons would have on him, and the one that would have been the most important is Desdemona, and you punched her in half. So she wasn't around for his formative years, which may have been the most important thing you've ever done for that guy.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad for him. Honestly, I think there's maybe a part of DiCaprio that's pretty excited that she robbed her mother of the opportunity to like try to raise any other dragon.
Yeah, I actually low-key think that's very important. It's one of those things that's like kind of subtext. You kind of have to think about it a little bit because it doesn't jump out at you. But she did miss out on influencing him a bunch because of your actions, and she would have really liked to have done that, to have tried to poison him against you, and she didn't get the chance. But Ulysses has been a lot of fun to play. I honestly, in my deepest heart, thought he would be the main antagonist. I thought you would teach him a bunch of bad things and then he would use them to justify fighting you later. But he's a sweet boy and I love him.
He's such a chaos gremlin at the start, but I feel like anytime you hand a bunch of neurodivergent people a baby, our immediate instinct is just gonna be like, well, we gotta take care of this thing. Look at this little guy. I mean, yeah, he shoots nuclear breath. Of course we're gonna make sure he's taken care of.
We got to give him little treats and meats and carry him around. It was great. There is one character who is not in my 3x3 grid because they were a secret hidden dragon. And I was waiting to record the Bowling Broke crew Gunk until they were revealed. And now you know he is a dragon as well. Dan alluded to this, but if you don't know, he is a dragon because of an item from Season 9, the relic of a dragon god, which could turn people into dragons. Does any of this ring a bell to you, Quinn?
It's from the season I haven't listened to, no.
Okay, so in Catholicism, there are these things called relics, right?
You motherfucker. Are you going to tell me, like, don't you remember the Christianity? There's the staff that turns you into the dragon. No, we didn't read the cool stuff, Austin.
No, but relics are like body parts of saints, right? A lot of Catholic churches have like fingers or teeth or whatever. That's one of the cool metal things about that particular sect. In Season 9, there was a number of relics. One of them, which was actually introduced by Dan, was a cloak made of dragon scale that when you put it on turned you into a dragon. And so that is how Bowling Broke, the Grey Dwarf, is a dragon. When you find that out, he is a shadow dragon, and he uses the boyfriend blast on you. So that's what's going on there. If you don't know, maybe someone will bring that up in character during the actual season itself. But to clear that up, Bowling Broke, he is his own person, but politically just agrees with his partner, Barbas, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, I did get the vibe that he doesn't necessarily stand anywhere too different from Barbas. And he is sort of this asterisk dragon, which is a very unique element to bring in after Austin was like, there you go, there are no more dragons left. Oh, wait, there's one more. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yeah, go back. I did say I've introduced all the named dragons. I was being a little stinker. I knew what I was saying at the time, that he had been introduced and named. So I was that was from the beginning. I always knew he was a dragon. When he showed up for the first time, when he was acting mysterious, and you gave him a coat to make him go away, and he turned around and gave it to Barbas. That whole thing was planned from the beginning because I wanted to have someone who could be both small folk and dragon. I think Adam say a bunch of like cryptic shit like, what if our positions are reversed someday, Rex? And then he knocked all of Rex's fucking teeth out in Andronicus's walk-in freezer. That was cool. He's a cool guy. I like him.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I've would love an opportunity to, I guess, get a one-on-one with him, but hasn't happened yet. It's too many fun NPCs, Austin. I can't find time for them all.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. It was I think I took a creative risk in making all these characters kind of load bearing. It's not like you can just be like, I am not interested in Andronicus, so I will not ever talk to him or acknowledge him. I was like, okay, well you're completely fucking up. He has a lot of important stuff going on.
I was gonna say that's the interesting thing is we've all kind of it's not like I'm gonna say like, oh well, and I have my NPCs and Dan has his NPCs or anything like that. But like we all make sure that we're like kind of branching out in different directions. So like that was one that I did notice. I was like, no one's really spending a lot of time with Andronicus, and I really think we need to do something there because that's the second strongest dragon. Like I know he just like shuffles around like a little chef and he makes his little silly restaurants, but I'm like, one day he is going to go supernova, and I need it to be pointed away from us and not at us.
It has been so fun this arc to have him constantly stealing spells from you and you getting increasingly apoplectic about it. I will say, just minor thematic spoiler that there is going to be upside. I'm not just trolling.
Oh, sure.
He is going to have your back. You're making these sacrifices for a reason. But yeah, if in an alternate universe where no one ever tries to engage with him, I'm finding some reason for him to pile drive you through a mountain.
100%.
Absolutely, at some point. That's inevitable. So I'm glad you did that. Um, the last person we haven't really talked about, Sycorax, is a character I've been thinking about a lot. She's had an okay amount of screen time, but there was a really strange interaction with her at the party that it's not entirely clear what was going on there. What are your impressions of her vis-a-vis Gladys and Smallfolk? Because I think it's one of the characters that is the hardest to like stereotype, if that makes sense. Like
Uh-huh.
I can just say like Rosaline's a dick, like okay, we all agree. But like Sycorax is like weirdly nuanced. I know it's an asshole thing to call your own writing nuanced, but you know what I mean.
No, I absolutely get it. She is the character who is sort of obfuscated to us, in a direct character read the most of any NPC because I think there is a lot of duality. Like, if you were to look objectively at her small folk, I would be like, she seems to like them. Like, she models them after like ancient Greece, but that's, where a lot of like culture and history is. And, like people weren't like, we didn't see anyone being like tortured or anything like that. This wasn't like
To be clear, you
Rosalind.
did see one person being hella tortured.
Yeah, but okay, so I want to clarify. I want to clarify that we don't see them like outwardly being tortured and walk around, but they do seem to be a lab experiment to her.
Mm.
And I think that she must occupy something in in like a middle there, but like the way you view it, I think you also could just say like she just hates small folk. I don't know 100% because she seems never. How do I want to say this?
I mean, it's something that just unlocked for me when you said it's like a lab experiment. Another way I could phrase it is they're content to her.
Yeah. Yes, like they're like a content machine. If she's like, I really want to see another great nostalgia moment, I'm gonna go rip it out of somebody. Like, hey, you've been hanging around a bunch of things that are gonna make you wistful and nostalgic, and I'm gonna rip it out of you. But she also is always got like a Fae kind of air to her that's hard to pin down. You know, we talked with her a little bit early on, and she got to kind of show a little bit of like, hey, I'm an older dragon here. I'm giving you guys a mission to do, essentially. So there was like a lot of respect there. But then like every time we see her after that, she's like blasted out of her mind in the corner of a party or something like that. And took a lethal amount of nuclear radiation at some point in the middle there. And it's challenging because there's a lot of, there's different layers to who she is, and it's tough to actually pin down what her feelings might be on something and what is like outwardly what I'm reading from her character. I think I have not succeeded on a ton of insight checks against her.
Yeah, I'd say that last conversation with her was characterized by a bunch of very poor roles, which sometimes is like people interpret as like a barrier to storytelling, but also just sometimes in stories people don't get good reads on each other. I think that's a perfectly normal thing to write into a plot. But my intention with Sycorax was to make her kind of character of dualities, or like the outward versus the inward, where I think her small folk genuinely have the highest standard of living among all small folk in the Cookie Mountains. I think on average they are happier. They are like doing whatever they want. They never want for anything. But I have her down as negative because I think her neglect and her disdain is like almost Rosaline levels, because she doesn't view them as people like with agency. They are just content to her. They are performing their little lives for her amusement, but it's not like an outward cruelty. She would never go out of her way to hurt them or anything, but if it amused her she would. And it's like a different kind of cruelty and almost evil. I try not to use the word evil. That's like such a I know this makes me sound like an insane moron, but I try never to have my plots revolve around evil. I just find that incredibly corny. Like, if you go back, my villains are always like, I'm doing my thing for racism. I'm doing my thing for money, but never just because I'm evil. Just that's probably a stupid thing to focus on.
No, it's good that you want to note that out there. I think I like the way that you phrase it though, that you never just want someone to necessarily be like twirling the mustache. You always are trying to get into the headspace of somebody like that. And it does, it gives I think a lot of your villains or just sometimes not even necessarily the villains, but it gives them a teeth that I enjoy interacting and role playing with. You know, I'm not necessarily the person who super gets into like a story where, the bad guy is like, well, I like to just, shoot lasers at orphanages because it's fun. It just kind of gets boring to go up against that. I think I find a little intrigue in talking to a character and realizing like, there's a world where maybe I don't side with this character, but like, maybe I have like an uneasy relationship with them before it becomes antagonistic or something like that. Like, I don't know. There's different routes it could take.
Sycorax is definitely someone who you could ally with even more. And I think we had that one really uneasy scene with her and Hop, where I don't know, it felt like really real to me in the moment. Maybe it's just reflecting my own experience, but like someone who at any moment could start freaking out, and so you have to like walk on eggshells around them, even when they're being totally nice and reasonable. And it's a hard balance to pull off. It's a more it's a character I have to think about stuff more before I speak. But you'll notice one character I didn't mention, someone who lives outside the grid, who I didn't even bother plotting, and who is actually dozens of characters. I don't know how many Cymbalines there are.
They're on a different axis. It's just asshole and dick. It's just one box, and they're the max of both.
Yeah, they're Hog-Out, Ballistic. I'm hoping to record a Cymbaline Crew Gunk separately someday with Skitch and Sarah. I'm trying to get those Cymbalines. I know I say this all the time on Crew Gunk and Spew Punk and all my unks, my unk punks, but more Cymbaline content coming. They are an incredibly important antagonist, but they're also just so outside of the conversations we're having scene to scene. They don't know or care about anything that you know or care about. They're just like they're just little
assholes.
Yeah, it's a fun antagonist to play with. I'm just literally always thinking like, if a Cymbaline is here, how could they make this worse for you? What could they take? Could they trip you? Could they spit in your food? It's fucked up, but they're there.
Yeah. I enjoy them. I want all of them to die painfully, but I do enjoy them. I am curious how you feel about the family themes of this season, Austin.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, basically. I'll say my answer is sponsored by Nephisticidia the Queer Sheep, poor jobless living in a van finally free of state service, Aaron Norgard, Graffiti, Tsukage's husband, Bones, Superman 2025 gave me Werewolf Hope, Conduit of Snacks, Kniku Fan, A Good Brent, Blue Skies Bitch for Let's Talk About Snacks podcast. The family thing was like my big idea going in, even more than dragons in some sense. Something I've been pushing for a long time was for the characters to have an existing dynamic to draw on. I feel extremely vindicated about it. Every conversation is like dripping with so much more import than if there's just Jeff and Bill, the adventurers, just like some guy from work that I have to deal with, which is like, why not leave? Fuck off. I don't ever have to talk to the person again. Being siblings makes it great. I'm kind of going to be sad when that dynamic's gone. I don't know. Like, we'll have to concoct some other thing. Maybe we'll next party will be a polyamorous polycule or something to try to recapture it.
Man, that'd be an intense situation.
It would be weird, but at least it'd be something. No, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's the glue that holds the season together, and it's very exciting. It also makes every antagonist seems so much more fraught. Like, if Rosaline wasn't Rex's dad and Rex's mom, and Rex started being like, I like small folk, she would beat his ass on the spot. She's a
Yeah.
red dragon. Fuck you, bitch. But that she's his doting mom, and now I have to like, okay, well, how does she process that? What does that mean for their relationship? Spoilers: she's gonna take it out on DiCaprio. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Oh my gosh, no! But I gave her my boss, my amphora.
Yeah, I know. That's why I have to be thinking about that. That's another aspect. Is like you can't just snap and just start reacting like a maximalist way because you got to talk to these people next Thanksgiving. Yeah, it creates so much drama and everything. I definitely am enjoying it. I'm trying to think of like a single downside to it. It's like been completely awesome and successful, and I'm right again as always.
Aw. I do agree. It's definitely been helpful to give our characters a strong connection like that. Siblings is maybe my favorite like kind of relationship I think characters can have. Just a very sibling build, just who I am, unfortunately. So, yeah, I've enjoyed every second of it because I've definitely been able to like channel some real life thought processes throughout this season. In a lot of ways, a lot of DiCaprio is being played by my impression of my elder brother, who immediately did make himself like my brother was the only person I knew who actually kind of like operated on Game of Thrones like lineage where he's like, well, I'm the eldest son, thus I need to be doing and make sure I'm providing this for everybody, and thus I need to make sure these needs are being taken care of by my younger siblings. It's an interesting space to play in, and I don't know. It's very fun to see it from the other side because I know what it's like to be under that side. It's like, yo, you're a fucking dick. You can't stop doing this. But like it's fun to see it from the other side. It's like, no, you idiot. You have no idea what the world is. I have to protect you from it.
Next season, we're gonna have to be like, we all ate the same pumpkin, so we're bonded forever. We're pumpkin bonded. This means something.
Yeah, we're gonna be pumpkin friends. I can't wait for that. I do need to start talking. I am like super excited because season 13 stuff is starting to like actually get like really hammered in now. Like I was like, ooh, I need to actually like I think finish my character sheet. Like I think I had like half of it kind of done, like a general outline. And I've actually been sitting down being like, ooh, I need to actually like finalize the design and stuff like that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited. As we move to the end of this crew gunk, that is I guess a NPC breakdown is how I'll write the description of this. Do you have any thoughts about the small folk? Lace is probably the most prominent one, but we're getting more York, the Aarakocra in this one, and the little blue goblin. I don't know how important that one's going to be. We'll see. Are you hoping for more screen time with them, or do you think it's appropriate that like as a dragon, some of those people go unnoticed? That also, we could use that as an excuse to say why they aren't fleshed out enough if you're looking for an excuse.
First of all, I don't think you need to be negative about yourself. Everyone this season, I think, has been putting a lot of great work into these NPCs. So even if we don't get to see all of them a ton, you do feel a strong connection. I think what's going to be felt is, very soon this decision, this attitude being presented forward. Again, I'm not sure when this is coming out, so I'm trying to be kind of careful with my wording here. But these upcoming time skips are going to say a lot. What we get done is going to matter a lot because, it was established that like York is like, like fresh 18 or something like that. The idea is that like the next time we would really see York might be like when he's middle-aged. It's, this is when it starts really mattering that our characters are dragons that live a very, very long time and not small folk that have very like firmly defined lifespans in the D&D universe.
I'm actually kind of glad that Humdrum Deep Breath fucked up that roll so bad she died because it was like the first step on the like humanizing, for lack of a better word, these characters, and Rex being forced to face their fragility. And I think that, yeah, going from my old dying mentor to this young, naive like kid, basically, I think has been very important for Rex. So yeah.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed that because I feel Rex has had this connection with York, and obviously there's always been a connection with Hop and Smallfolk. DiCaprio is thinking of hers a little bit more, and she is realizing that maybe while her opinions overall haven't changed, she is feeling a lot more strongly to the couple small folk of hers that she does. In this case, Lace. She's like, "Oh, I need to be doing more for you." Like, I think I'm realizing, like, she is in a small way very very much being inspired by Rex.
There was a brief aside during the party where you said, "Yeah, Lace, how are the peasants feeling about me? What can I do better?" And Lace was like, "You just don't understand how little power we have and how overawing you are." And yeah, I'm curious to see how that develops. As we end the podcast, I want to thank our final sponsors: Midlife Stasis, Savoring the Mouthfeel, Spaghettio Moment, Sir Alistair Octopus, Bleaker, Ebrand, Getting an Education in Learning Data Analysis. Matt Blacketts doesn't have the mental energy to update their Patreon name anymore, but listens to every episode avidly. Ed, Juman Jack, and Francois via deleted scene in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Quinn, I forgot a character. Keeper. Thoughts on Keeper, the Kobold?
Oh my gosh, Keeper the Kobold is so terrifying because I don't like when he shows up. I can't stress enough. I have such a low AC, even being the conduit of resilience. I think most things can still hit me on an average roll, and he just swings so many times with like cursed weapons. I'm like, I don't want to get coin cursed again. I just got rid of it. Finally.
I don't know if you've even seen his damage dice. I feel like there's been 3 tense encounters with him. Once Laura wished away, once Laura put him in a force cage, and then the last time you just gave him the coin, right? So there hasn't been actual time where he started filleting your ass. So I think you're going to be hurt personally. I think you're going to find it deeply upsetting, the kind of math that we'll see if he comes back.
Yeah, it's more on the level of like, well, even if his damage isn't high, I do have a finite number of health. He does not. It's this Squee the Immortal. Like, I can't get rid of this stupid thing. I keep taking 1 damage. Like, I just don't want to deal with that. Because then it's like, all right, well, the arc's done, but I still got this little goblin biting my ankle. It won't stop. Like, it just keeps trying to kill me.
He is the only character who can't really be convinced of anything or pushed in any direction. Like when I made the little grid, I was like, okay, Ulysses is starting in neutral, but you could radicalize them in any direction. It's like Viola is a young, inexperienced person in love. We can push her in some directions. Keeper is Keeper. There's nothing you can fucking do about it at this point. I'm sorry, it's off the table. He is who he is magically, and that's just how we are living.
I like the very brutal tragedy, almost like something Greek to it, of like, we are these great grand dragons whose story really is only connected by the sense that we are the only things that will live this long to have our story connected together. But then there's this one weird ass goblin that'll just never die. He will just never just age to death or anything like that. And he will also be a part of our story. Like, he will be our puckish little freak to the side, constantly interfering with things.
And it's a good thing he's not a deeply confused, conflicted, self-hating bigot, right? That would probably complicate things a lot.
Yeah, it really does. He's one of those characters where in the back of my mind, I do it to be like, what is my end goal to deal with Keeper? Like, how do I deal with that problem that is going to persistently come at us otherwise?
Yeah, Quinn, this downtime, you're going to put into motion the plans that will embarrass and defeat your mother for the final time. Rex is going to solve all the social problems with the small folk. Laura's going to put all of her lovers' quarrels to rest. And then you're all going to be like, we did it. High five, everyone. Big party. Oh, fuck, here comes Keeper. Oh, God. Oh, fuck, we're fucked. And there's nothing you could do.
Yeah, it's truly terrifying, but I'm excited for it.
Weekly manga recap, patreon.com/weekly manga recap. You can find
That's
Quinn.
Me.
Yeah. Do you want to plug the other thing we recorded where we talk about Pokemon Squishmallows mostly?
Yeah, I don't know when this episode is coming out 100%, but by the time it's out, I hope to either have out or we'll be having out very soon a package of podcasts. Basically, I'm going to be getting a surgery very soon. To be very forward, it's going to be a gender affirming surgery. And I'm just looking for help in paying for it. For a very long time, this has been my one of my more main sources of income. And there's no insurance with this. There's not a 401k plan. There's, it's not a lot of those things. So this is just going to be something I'm going to have to shoulder. So I'm putting together a package of podcasts and I'm going to be putting out for $5. I think there's going to be like 4, 5, or 6 of them. I'm not sure the exact number yet because some things have ended up being a little longer, but a lot of work's gone into them. My friend Nick, who I record Weekly Manga Recap with, basically took me on a very intricate and deep dive into the late 90s era Disney to explain how everything that happened eventually with the Road of El Dorado came to be. And it was a fascinating, deep dive into all this stuff that Nick legit has a works cited that he needs to deliver during the episode. So it's really,
now
really cool.
I feel inadequate. Nick is doing deep, intricate work with cited pages, and I was just like, Momo and Okarun should fuck nasty. I should see it go in. So now makes me look like a jack off.
I agree with it 100% because I'm like, I reread Jujutsu Kaisen. I feel like I didn't do nearly enough work though. I got works cited, Gege Akutami, Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a lot of really cool podcasts. A lot of very important people to me have graciously given up their free time to help me record these things. So it's just going to be out there for $5. And then if you want to give more, I'm going to put together a Blue Sky post. But basically, I will also include a Venmo or PayPal, link if you want to do something like that. But again, I am also very happy if you just give $5 and buy these podcasts that me and my friends worked very hard on.
Okie dokie. Should be links to everything in the description. We love you very much. Symboling content as soon as possible. And then post Ulysses Crew Gunk also ASAP because you're not going to believe the kind of shit that we get up to. This is another very long arc after the very long Genie arc. There's always just so much more I want to talk about and do with y'all.
I was going to ask this actually. How do you feel? This definitely is shaping up to, I think, be the longest season of Dice Funk. It didn't hit me until yesterday. I was like, oh, I just rendered episode 38. Isn't that usually when we're kind of starting to wrap up a season?
Yeah, I think we are 2/3 of the way through. I think this is going to be, who knows? Next episode, you could be like, I cut my dad's head off and I marry Viola in front of Rex while crotch chopping. I don't know.
Whoa.
But my storytelling instinct is we have reached the second of 3 acts, and there's, I kind of knew going in I wanted to do an arc about each of the main dragons, and I know how many dragons there are, so that's, another thing. I think that's just how long the story is taking. The last couple of arcs have just kept stretching on because there's always, someone's always getting a huge boner and we have to address it. So that's just took up 2.5 hours.
And we have to address it. Yeah, there's no other way to operate otherwise.
It was plot critical. Several people got knocked out by it.
That is true. The same way that a ladder is on my character sheet until noted otherwise. All these little jokes and japes are important. It is plot significant that Rex was bricked up for a couple hours.
When they adapt this into the HBO series, they can't cut the ladder. It's going to come into play later. It's completely load-bearing. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Load-bearing's a favorite term for you today.
Yeah, across 2 podcasts that aren't going to be in the same feed. So that'll be a fun scavenger hunt if you want to hear me say load bearing in another context. Who knows who is bearing these loads?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting because load bearing has a different emphasis on which word in the different podcasts. It's load in the other one, so...